Well, a blessed Christmas Eve to all of the church family and friends and others who might be tuning in. This is Pastor Rick from Moxie Community Church, located in Northeast Pennsylvania, Wyalusing, Pennsylvania, to be exact. And we welcome you to this brief Christmas Eve broadcast. Have you ever calculated the cost of a single Christmas gift you give to someone? I mean, really calculated the cost? Let's see. First, you have the investment of time trying to figure out what the person would really want. Second, you now have to find out which stores carry that particular product. This is a bit easier with the virus, as you do not have to drive to a mall, walk the crowded corridors, enter into each store, pick up and inspect the potential gift, purchase it, and then leave. Try to remember where you parked your car and drive home. You do not have to do that because now it is a matter of logging onto your favorite search engine and starting your search. Third, once you find the right vendor with the exact item, now the fun really begins. Do they offer free shipping? Do they offer a discount code? Do they guarantee that it will arrive on time? Fourth, you click on the icon to purchase the item. You complete their form for shipping information. You then click Next and you enter your credit card information. You carefully read further instructions asking if this is a gift and do you want a gift card included with the gift? If so, click here. Fifth, you finish your checkout procedure. Now you receive a confirmation email for your order. You receive another email with the notification of how to track your purchase. Seventh, the purchase finally arrives, hopefully in time for the holiday festivities, and indeed it's the right product you order, and it arrived undamaged. You now have to wrap the gift, hide the gift until the appropriate time to place it under the tree to be opened. Now let's see. What did this little venture cost you? Now multiply that by the number of gifts you are thinking about or already have purchased. That's what 2020 Christmas cost you. Where are the days of the simple hanging of Christmas socks filled with an apple or an orange or maybe a piece of candy, or that infamous piece of black coal? So let's switch gears here for a moment. I am pretty confident that most of you listening to this broadcast are familiar with the story of Joseph and Mary's travels from Nazareth to Bethlehem and the circumstances that caused them to take such a journey. Now, let's investigate this travel trip a bit more. Remember, they did not have AAA, MapQuest, or other navigational devices. They traveled 90 miles to the city of Joseph's ancestors. They traveled south along the flatlands of the Jordan River, then west over the hills surrounding Jerusalem, and then on into Bethlehem. According to Dr. Strange, who is a archaeologist and historian, he quotes, "It was a fairly grueling trip. He annually leads an excavation team at the ancient city outside of Nazareth." Now notice the map. So here's Nazareth up here, and they will come down and they will cross the Jordan River and then travel down here and then cross back over to head to Jerusalem and down to Bethlehem. And I'll explain in a minute why they take this detour. Mary did not ride on a donkey. Nowhere in the gospel does it say that Mary did anything but walk. Some hint that because of her condition, she probably did. The only animals found were in the stable where Mary and Joseph arrived. This is an important observation. Another observation is that donkeys were not generally available to the classification of people like Joseph. He was a blue-collar worker. A donkey was more for someone with means. Remember, he's a carpenter. His trade did not net him a noteworthy bottom line on his expense and income report to purchase a donkey or perhaps even to rent one. The trip took about 4 to 7 days if they traveled 20 miles per day. But remember, Mary is pregnant, and it took probably longer, maybe up to 10 to 14 days. The group they left Nazareth with went on ahead, leaving them behind because they were walking quite a bit slower and taking frequent rest stop breaks. Now let's consider the route that they most likely took. The land of Samaria, along the most direct route between Nazareth and Bethlehem, and in Jesus' day, was considerably hostile between Jews and Gentiles. This is this area right here. And Jesus experienced the hostility in his ministry. That's why they crossed over to avoid any hostility, and especially this area, I'll explain to you in a minute, and then later on crossed back over to head down. Now, even if Mary and Joseph bore no animosity towards the Samaritans, it would have been difficult and even dangerous for them to travel through that country. They might have been harassed and would almost certainly have been refused lodging, just as Jesus and his disciples were treated some years later, according to Luke 9:51 to 56. This route also was infamous for bandits and robbers and all sorts of unsavory discontents. Joseph and Mary could have been prime prospects for a robbery, except the hand of the Lord was upon Mary, keeping the child, Mary, and Joseph safe. Joseph, being a righteous man who loved Mary immensely, would have sought to protect his wife and the child she carried from such a threat. So, as was common among the Jews of that day, the couple would have journeyed far off the direct route to avoid Samaria, taking a detour from Galilee across the Jordan River, and then back again down into Judea to continue their journey. That would have probably added many miles and several days to the trip. Now, remember that Mary was close to the end of her pregnancy. No doubt they had traveled much more slowly than normal to avoid excessive discomfort for her and the risks to the health of both mother and child. Given these factors, then, the one-way trip may have taken a week or 10 days and perhaps a bit longer. Because of their late arrival, nearly 5 to 7 days after the rest of the people who were born in Bethlehem had arrived to fill out their census paperwork and who had secured housing, there was no room for them in any establishment for rest, let alone to give birth to a child. The cost to Mary and Joseph to bring this unwrapped gift to Bethlehem was enormous. But consider the cost to God to give this one heavenly gift to you and to me. There was a divine counsel in eternity past about Christ's coming. God had to create a world to which Christ would enter. God then had to create the reason for Christ to come, namely the rebellion of that creation to the Creator. God then circumvented the incarnation to demonstrate to his creation that they were sinners without the possibility of change without his intervention. Time and time again, God delayed his son's entrance until the fullness of time. He gave them a sacrificial system, Moses and the law, Aaron and the priesthood, kings and monarchies and prophets. The preparation for this gift took centuries. But wait, God had to prepare a human body for his son to live in. He had to prepare the right vessel for his son to be placed in, the womb of a virgin. He had to prepare a righteous man who would accept this culturally unacceptable union, Joseph. Then God moved an evil, wicked, greedy man to issue a decree that would move Mary and Joseph 90 miles to the familiarity of memories of their childhood, Bethlehem. He was Mary and Joseph's rear guard and sunlight to guide them during the day. He provided protection from robbers and bandits. He led them to places of rest with ample natural supplies for strengthening from a long day's travel. He led them to the only inn that had a detached place for animals where the child could be born. Then the gift could be unwrapped and enjoyed. So as you unwrap your gifts, be mindful of the great intentional effort of Jehovah God to give his creation the precious gift of his only begotten Son, who would atone for the sins of the world. Let that gift you hold in your hand remind you of the gift God has given to each and every one if they would only receive Jesus. God's gift to you cost him more than any amount of money you can spend on any particular gift for any particular person. Our love and prayers to each of you as we close out 2020 and as you celebrate festivities with family and friends, or perhaps you are by yourself because of the virus and the quarantine. Our love and prayers to each of you. We indeed appreciate all of you. Trust that you will have a safe, memory-making holiday season. God bless.